Hi everybody, Steffi here from The Makers, and I'm delighted to show you how to make either the cat or the spider or both from the October Makers Flock Box 2024. And if you, of course this is Halloween time, so a very timely project. If you are a fellow felter or a member of our membership, the flock, then you might notice that we've cut out on a little bit of paper, so we don't have a newsletter in there anymore, but you do get that sent via your email. And also, I think that's basically what it says on this, yeah, that's what it says on here. And of course you can sign up to our emails at any point. So you have here a big batch of our black New Zealand merino. It's a really lovely even dyed black wool. You have got on your sheep swatch in the flock box, you've got the lichen green, which is a mountain sheep, and the good news is you don't have to undress your sheep this time. If you want to just use basically what you're getting in your kit this time round is a selection of cabochon eyes. Tip them out so you can see them. So you have some ready-made eyes which you can put in the cat here, and we call them cabochon, or they are called cabochon, but you've also got two teeny tiny weeny little glass eyes here. And for this we have given you a little printed sheet where you can choose of the top row. The top row fits the little 6mm cabochon eyes, and you can choose whether you are using any of those, and you could use them for the spider instead of needle felting if you didn't want to at all use the lichen green on your sheep swatch. I know how much you hate undressing sheep. You've also got plenty of pipe cleaners in there, and you've even got a magnet, because you could very easily turn your little cat or even the spider into a fridge magnet. So we thought it might be quite nice to introduce you to making fridge magnets from your makes. But also, of course, this is sort of a little bit of a sneaky advertising for our fundraising for the guide dogs, where you can actually make two dog fridge magnets. So if you haven't seen that yet, then do check it out. In any case, I'm going to start showing you how to make the cat. So I'm going to keep my little bits and pieces here quite safe. If you don't know this already, but the cabochon eyes are available to purchase on our website, so I just need to tip them out. And you can also make use of the sub club discount in October for you being a subscriber by getting 20% off on all of our eyes. At the moment, this particular print isn't available to purchase separately from our website, but we will make this available, and probably as a download, so you can literally print it at home on your own printer. Excuse the rustling, but I do need to just blow my nose because I seem to have come down with a light cold. Right, so let's start with the cat. So you need one pipe cleaner and another pipe cleaner for the cat. So that leaves you with two pipe cleaners. And the good news is that a spider only actually takes one pipe cleaner to make, because you're bending it in so that you have, once you tie it all together, you have 8 legs. So you could actually make 2 spiders and 1 cat. So I'm going to put these to one side for now, because I want to concentrate on just making our little cat here now. So as you can see, probably quite easily, the line of the body here, that's one pipe cleaner. So you've got your tail. So what I would do is start at the tail end and wind it in a little bit, just so that you can measure, you can see how much you need for all of this. And then I want to say about, and I measured it earlier, you need about 6 centimeters of the pipe cleaner end, which doesn't get used because it's inside the head of the cat. So roll this already in and make it go away, so that all you are ending up with needs a little bit more potentially, but then you also want the curve of the cat. So make sure you've got a nice shape here, but about 6, let's see what the remainder of the pipe cleaner is. So you need it's about 9 centimeters, I want to say. So 9 centimeters of the pipe cleaner should be left over. It's a 19 centimeters. Sorry, 9 centimeters gets curled up, and then you've got 21 centimeters left. It's a 30 centimeter long pipe cleaner. And all you're going to do now is you're going to tease off bits of wool. So make sure you get them nice and thin. And you're starting at the tail end. The cat has got a wrapped up tail here. However, you could almost also leave it unwrapped. But if you want to get it nice and skinny, then you need to wrap the wool around the pipe cleaner. You're not bending the end of the pipe cleaner in, so there is a sharp wire at the end. And all you're going to do is allow the wool to grip into the pipe cleaner, and then just wrap the wool around it flat like a ribbon. Many of you have done this before, but this is yet again another good exercise to get used to wrapping wool around wire. And the actual tail, let's measure that so that you know how much tail you need. You will need to allow about 11 centimeter for the tail. So basically you've got 9 centimeters is this curled up bit here at the front. Then you have got 11 centimeters here, which should leave you exactly 10 centimeters here in the middle for the body. Okay, so 9 centimeters for the head, 10 centimeters here in the middle for the body, and then you've got 11 centimeters going around for the head. So I'm going to mark it now where my tail ends, and I'm going to start, just add a little bit of a bulkier wool here so that I've marked my pipe cleaner, just so that I know this is where I need to end my tail. So just so that I have a little bit of a guide, and then I'm going to continue wrapping my tail end up. So keep it nice and skinny, and then all the way, the cat's tail is quite a skinny, curly little whirl there. So I'm going to wrap the rest of the wire with the wool. The wrapping of the wool is actually really quite easy. It's just for you to get the proportions right. So this is my tail now completed. I'm not doing anything else with this. This is done. Okay. So all I need to do now is I need to attach the legs. That would be good. And for this, you're going to have to cut your pipe cleaner into half. So the second pipe cleaner gets cut into half, and don't look, well, I'm going to take it out of the picture because I'm using my best scissors. Oh dear. To cut this pipe cleaner. Naughty, naughty. And now you're going to attach the legs, and you're doing this by just going round it once. So you've got the legs here. Ideally they're the same length, but if they're a little bit uneven, you can adjust it by because you're going to bend the end in here for little paws. So you want these quite long, and then you're going to do the same here, about that far away from the head, so not quite as close to the tail as that, a little bit further away, round it. And this one's definitely a little bit more uneven, so that you've got two the same length, and then just a tiny bit, just bend the ends in as little as you can, just so that you've got almost like tiny little cat paws there. So this is the basic frame now for your cat. The tail looks out of proportion long, but because it gets curled in, as soon as you do that, it looks a lot shorter. So there you go. And all we need to do now is add wool. And I'm starting with the head. So I'm going to wrap wool around the head. And because I've bent the pipe cleaner in, I've got a nice big base here to start adding bulk. And I'm going along the body. It's not really the body, it's more the neck, isn't it? Make sure these are nice and firm on there. And I'm just going to go round the joint where I've put the legs. I haven't needle felted yet. And in a minute, the head actually gets slightly bent down. So you have a little bit of scope to pose the head with your fingers because you've got that curled up pipe cleaner inside. And then I'm going to go from the other end and start wrapping the middle part of the pipe cleaner. There's so much wool that needs adding, so don't worry if it doesn't look terribly neat. Go back on myself. And if the legs get twisted around, don't worry, on even the head, you can just put it easily straight again. The cat looks very scraggly for a long time. But what you can do already, you can actually start wrapping the hind legs. So I haven't needle felted yet. This is still only just using the wool to wrap and build up bulk. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're building sort of slightly thicker thighs. And actually, if you look very closely on my cut, the bottom part of the leg is not covered. So just go halfway, and it's almost like the cat has got sort of what are they called, those I don't really know what they're called. What are they called again? I want to say pumpernickel, but that's not it. That's a type of bread. They're the kind of trousers that only go down to your knees. So you want it to look a little bit like that, so that it's got a nice built up thigh here, and then the rest of the leg is quite skinny. And remember the little paws that you've bent in, they need to be visible as well. You can all twist it and shape it in a much better shape later on when you've actually finished it. So don't worry too much if it keeps looking like it's doing some weird acrobatics. So, and the cat will have a hunched back. So again, the length of the body will appear quite long at the moment, but it will shrink down. And then you just start building bulk whenever you can on the body, still haven't needle felted. And you're going to repeat what you've just done with the hind legs on the front legs. So the sort of upper part of the leg needs to be slightly more built up than the rest. And do bend the cut into the shape so you can get to the parts that you need to get to. So build that up a little bit. And it will look grotesque for a long time. So don't think that's just you. Well, just look at my cut. It looks absolutely awful for quite some time. So just wrapping the wool around it. And the nice thing is that you have got the scope to pose the cat. And so then suddenly you don't need to worry too much about getting the exact right shape, because you're actually doing it by bending the wire. But for now, we're just adding layers of wool. And in a minute, I'm going to start felting into all of this. So just going to go around the body. It is a very stylized cut, so don't get too worried about it looking nothing like it's meant to. Getting my nice brand new felting mat here. Won't look like that for very long. I'm going to grab a medium felting needle, and now I'm going to start stabbing the wool into place. So once you start doing this, you've got the opportunity to get rid of wispy bits and felt the wool down. Black in many ways is a very forgiving color when you're needle felting. It's very hard for you to see what the details, but that also means it's very hard for you to ever see the details. So you don't have to be too precise and detailed, because it's really hard for our eyes to see exactly if there's any imperfections. If you look at this cut, if you look very close up, I probably could have put a little bit more around the neck, but it's virtually impossible to recognize. So stab into the cat, into the body. This is by no means finished yet, but just keep stabbing into it. You could even use a coarse needle if you wanted to speed your work up, but definitely not a fine at this stage. So, and you can see that it's completely, it's in a completely weird shape. So don't worry about that. It will all put itself right. Make sure that you're not stabbing into the wire. I'm just about going past it into the mat. So you have to work it from all directions. And if you're turning this into a fridge magnet, you have to make sure that part of it, I want to say, put the fridge magnet later on this part, because that's probably the biggest built up part, so you can't see it from the other side. So just be mindful that you need to make the cut, if you're turning it into a fridge magnet, you need to make your cut big enough, so that broad enough, so that the fridge magnet gets hidden on the other side. So building a little bit more on the chest here and around the neck. Felt that part down. So hopefully it was clear enough for you, the measurements. So you use 9 centimeters at one end for the head, then you use 11 centimeters for the tail, which leaves 10 centimeters in the middle for the body. Those are the rough measurements. If you have 10 centimeters for the tail, and I don't know, 10.5 for the body and 9.5 for the head, it will be fine too. So don't worry too much if you're a few millimeters out. I'm actually going to go for a coarse needle, just to get a little bit more grip with that needle in the wool. So it works quite well doing a stylized cut, because cuts are notoriously hard to capture in a realistic fashion. So it's totally recognizable as a cut, and that's all what we want. I'm just felting it all around where I can see it needs felting, always trying to avoid the wire. And make sure that the cut, the head is bent in this way, because now in a minute we can add a little bit more bulk, but different cuts have got different size heads, and you can even keep it quite a very sort of like narrow-headed cut. Doesn't have to be a big head. I just felt it down. And like I say, the black wool is definitely working in your favor. And then as and when you felt it down, add a little bit more wool where you think it needs adding. Just giving my cut a bit more of a neck. And felt that down. And one important thing I always notice people doing who might be quite new to needle felting, they often want to get to a part on their project, and instead of moving the project, they move their hand. So they're going, oh, like this, like this. You don't have to do this. Just move your project either on the mat or pick it off the mat and move it around. Your hand should always be pretty much coming from the same direction. It shouldn't have to go in a very sort of contorted fashion to get to what you want to felt. It should just be quite a natural movement. And that also saves your fingers, because you have way more control over your needle if you are familiar with the motion that you're doing, rather than having to do this or something like that. So don't break your hand over it. Also remember that when you make a project, it will always look different than the one that you're copying, and I can see that mine is no different. So it is very different, but that rule also applies to me. This is what I'm trying to say. This cut will definitely look slightly different to the one that I made before, but that's the fun of needle felting, and nothing is ever a carbon copy, and that adds character and individuality into your projects. So just stab a little bit here, felt that down. So I'm literally just fastening the wool together now by stabbing into it, making sure I don't hit the needle very hard on the wire. So I'm going to add a little bit more wool here on the chest, making that a little bit broader, and going along the neck again, just adding a little bit more to the head, just a little bit more. and felt that down. So the head in many ways does need to have does need to be a little bit more substantial, especially if you're using these slightly oversized cat eyes. They obviously need to fit onto the head, so it might be good to work on the head and make it the right size for the eyes. You can of course also use the smaller eyes and then do something else with the spider. Use the wool from the sheep. To be honest, you don't even need to undress your sheep very much. Or use the big eyes on the spider. I don't know what that would look like. Let's have a look. Oh, looks quite scary. Maybe that way. Yeah, you can do that too. So you find your own combination. What I might, I use the small cabochon eyes on the spider in a minute, and then show you how I've made this cut with the actual ready cabochon eyes. So still just literally felting the wool on. Now with the ears, I've done a little trick with that one, which I'm going to show you. Just building a little bit more on that cat head still. First felt it down and then maybe add a bit more. Like I say, the black is extremely forgiving. It's just in every aspect. You can't really see the surface really very well. So I wouldn't worry too much about smoothing it out perfectly, because you literally can't see. And positioning the cat is all you need to concentrate on. Get that tail a bit tidied up. Looks a bit wispy. So stabbing along your pipe cleaner is the way to do this, especially if you've got very little wool on the pipe cleaner. Just go along the pipe cleaner rather than straight into it, and also it means that you're actually stabbing it into wool rather than into your felting mat. So if you bend the legs out of shape, don't worry, you can easily bend it all right again. And all I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you first how I'm going to do the ears. So it's really hard for you to see, but there's the little head looking at me from the front. This one is a little bit bigger, so I think I will just add a little bit more to the head, just to make sure I have got enough space there to put the eyes. So I'm just building up the bulk a little bit, and that should do it. There's definitely, I want to say, there is enough wool to make one spider and one cat. I don't think you have enough wool to make two spiders, but there's always the green wool from the sheep. Don't be afraid to use it. I might even use the green wool on my spider, because then you can see the differentiation between the pipe cleaner and the spider a little, the actual body of the spider a bit better. So if you can't bear to see my sheep being undressed, you have to look the other way. Right, I think that's okay for the head now. There's no other detail on the cat other than the ears and the eyes. So what I'm going to do for the ears is this. I'm taking a small amount of wool and I make a little wad like that. Might even put a tiny bit more on it. There. And all I'm going to do now is I'm going to felt this flat. I'm going to use a medium needle for this. Where's it gone? There. Oh no, that's not a medium needle, that was a reverse. So I'm just felting this flat on the mat, and now lift it off, turn it over and felt the other side. And you want to make a really, really nice solid bit of felt here. Go back to my cross needle. So keep everything wispy around the edges, but make a really nice solid inner solid felt. Nice flat fabric. If you've got a multi-tool, like a a 7 needle felting tool and a brush mat, or a 5 needle felting tool like the Clover one, use that just to speed up the process a little bit. Nearly there. Turn it over. And when you've got a relatively firm felt piece, I think I need to work a little bit more on this. Let's use let's use 2 finer needles so I can get a little bit more of a firmness going. You don't want it to be see-through. You want it to feel like a nice piece of handmade felt, but you leave the wispy ends. Like that. So this is going to be the ears. And the way that we're making the ears is you're going to cut this now in half, like that. And you're going to cut the ears out of here. So you want to cut one ear, and then you want to cut this off, and then you cut the second ear, like that. So you have in effect just made ears. So you've got your ears here, and then all you're going to do is you're going to felt them on top of the cat, like that. Okay, like that. I apologize that it's so hard to see because it's that black wool that literally you can't see anything. But felt the ears on by stabbing into the wispy edges of your cut ears, and it will all come right. Once they're on, you can pull them a little bit apart if you need to, and this is all I have done to make the ears. It is actually quite an easy way to make them, especially on a black cat, because like I say, not much detail is showing, and it's almost just like it's like a shadow. So you've got your ears on there now, like this. And then felt all the way around it. Make sure that all the wispy ends of the ear are tucked away. If you don't like the ears you've made, just repeat it. You can make another set. It won't be that hard to do it, especially if you want to make them bigger or smaller. So I'm quite happy with these ears, and I'm going to now show you how to do the eyes. For this, you will need to, as much as you can, make a couple of indentations of in the cat's head where the eyes are going to go. So make a nice little hollow with your felting needle on one side, and then do the same on the other side. We just need a little, it's really hard for you to see, and I do apologize. That's just that is the trouble with working with black wool. You can't see it, but it also works in your favor. Nobody else can see any imperfections. And all you need to do now is you just need to use a little bit of glue, like this. Add a dab. Add a dab in each of the hollows that you have made. Be generous with the glue. So you can see where I've made the eyes. That looks quite spooky actually. And then you put, oh my goodness, nearly fell down. Then you put one eye on here, like that, and the other eye on the other side. So make sure that they are in the right position, how you want them. Press them down, so you've got a very, very funky looking cat at the moment. But you can keep them like that. But what I have done with my cat, I've slightly integrated them into the head a little bit more. And you can do this You can probably use some of the ear wool that you've got here, because you will have a nice edge still. Use a little bit of the wool that you've had for your ears and just add almost like a little eyelid over one side, felt it down. So you can do this all around the eye, but don't do it too much because cat's eyes are usually quite exposed. They're not sort of like hidden, but it just makes it a little bit less, what's the word, dramatic maybe. Or you can leave it like that. And then put another one on the other side. And you can repeat this at the base of the eye as well. So to make the eye a little bit more integral to the head, just do it that way. And felt it down. If it's too much, you can literally just felt into the wool and push it back a little bit, and that will just take care of the eyes not looking quite so scary or glued on, a little bit more integrated. Here we go. Two little cats looking at you now. And all you need to do is pose your cat into the position that you want it to be. Remember, you have got, I don't want to mess too much with the eyes because they're not quite glued, fastened in yet, but you can pose the head as well. Get your cat into whatever position you want your cat to be in. I've curled the tail up a little bit, like that. And then to use the magnet, if you're using it on the cat, again, whichever side you want it on, you just use a generous amount of glue, as you did before. This glue bottle is ever so slightly clogged up. I'm going to take the lid off, and this glue is perfect for the magnet. It does the job. It just takes a little while to dry, so if you've got a glue gun and you prefer using that, then use that. And it also dries completely clear, so if a little bit spills over the edge, don't worry. And then just leave it to dry. Don't touch it until the glue has fully hardened and the wool will be fully glued to the magnet. And that's the cat. Now the spider is a little bit simpler, but what it does require is, if you're using your little sheet for the eyes, then you need to decide which of the eyes you're using. Sorry, sneezing. Excuse me. So you could maybe use let's use the yellow eyes. And the way the way that you do the eyes, this is really important, is that you are using a tiny amount of glue and you color in, you don't color in, but you just cover with a very thin layer the eye on the piece of paper. And then you push your cabochon eye over the top and you sort of move it around a little bit because you don't want the eyes to become very milky looking. So if you can push a little bit of glue away from under the paper, then that's great. That will minimize the glue on under the eye. Remember, the glue will dry clear, and this is a good preparation, and then you can leave it just to sit there until you've made the actual spider. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut that little bit of my paper off now, because I know these are going to be my eyes. So push them down really hard, squish all the glue out from underneath it. There will be enough glue left for you to secure the eye against the cabochon, and then you can work on the making of your spider. So again, I'm going to have to use good scissors to cut this because I didn't bring my other scissors to the desk here. Just cut your So of course you could make a bigger spider if you want to, but for a small spider you just need one pipe cleaner and cut your pipe cleaner into 4 parts like this, and each of these parts will make 2 legs. So you're gonna have to cross them over, and I said I would use the green wool, so I'm going to undress the sheep in private. No prying eyes can see what's happening to this sheep. There we go. And then you're going to start wrapping the wool around the center of the pipe cleaners. Sometimes it works best if you just start with a couple. Just use it like string and wrap it around the center so that you get the pipe cleaner fused together, like fastened together in the middle. And you still got chance to pull one or the other out. Add another one into it. Another bit of wool. Wrap it. And some more. Like this. And then finally the last set of legs. And again, just wrap it around so that you've got the legs now secure, but they're also pretty much sticking out in all directions. Now if you have enough wool there, you can start felting it down a little bit. Just mind the wire, you really don't want to stab into the wire there. You can do this from both sides. And then all you've got to do is build up that body. Decide which legs are sticking out where and make sure that they are the right length. So I'm going to go with this. So these are my 4 legs on one side, 4 legs on the other side. And then you're just going to build the body up, wrapping the wool around. And you're going to have to at some point go around the legs as well, just so that you spread them out a little bit. And then there. Now you can make the spider as skinny or as big as you want to. I think what makes the spider is when you bend the legs into this very distinct shape here. That to me makes the spider. At the moment it looks like a star, maybe like a starfish. I don't know, does it look like a star to you? So just stuff the wool down. So if you are wanting to start doing this and you've never used wool with a pipe cleaner, start with the spider and then maybe work yourself up to the cat. I'm going to have to undress a little bit more of my sheep here. You can also just bulk the spider up on the top by using little lumps of wool and just felt it down so that it stays a little bit flatter at the base. I'm just going to fold it slightly under. Got some leverage there. Can make a very fluffy spider. I absolutely terrified of spiders, but somehow this is something that I am okay doing. And I don't know if you've ever sort of heard this thing about the season. This season is the season where we should all challenge ourselves and do something that we have never done before. So if you have a spider phobia like I have, then this might be your challenge. This might be something you can challenge yourself with to push yourself a little bit out of your comfort zone. I certainly find that. I find spiders absolutely awful. It's just one of those. I couldn't needle felt a spider because I couldn't look at a real spider to copy from. So somehow it's okay for me to do this, but I genuinely couldn't. I couldn't look at a real spider to make a fake one. And then you are going to get back to your cabochon eyes, and you're gonna cut now around the shape of the eye. It's so much easier if you glue the eyes onto the piece of paper before you cut out the eye shape. Otherwise it's it's just really hard to maintain that round shape, and then you have to add the eye on it, and before you realize you've lost the piece of paper, the tiny little disc. So glue the eyes on, glue the cabochons on top of the sheet rather than wrestling with tiny little discs of paper. There you go. And then you can give your spider the eyes. So I'm making a little indentation again where the eyes are going to go. I think it works quite well using the green wool, just so you can see a little bit better what I'm actually doing here. Just a little dab of glue here and a little dab of glue there, same as I did with the cat. And then you just pop the eye on there. Let's make them go the other way. Could have used I could have used the round eyes as well. And you have got a cute little spider. And of course, what I was saying about the legs is that you bend them so that they're like almost like that. So you have to bend the legs in to get that real spider shape going. So little feet, bend in the middle, little foot sticking out like that. And you do that all the way around, and before you realize you have actually made a spider, and hopefully you're not terrified of them. But they can be all kinds of shapes and sizes, and whatever you like. I've still got that much black wool left, and my sheep is very it's wearing a bikini, my sheep, so it's a little bit less dressed than it was before. But and I've got a full pipe cleaner left, so maybe you could make a black spider and a green spider, and then you could needle felt the eyes in green to the second spider. Or maybe you have got a stash of cabochon eyes and you can use more of these different shapes. And that concludes the tutorial of how to make the cat. How's the magnet doing? It's actually almost secure. So yeah, you can put this on your fridge or wherever. Maybe have a second one and they can face each other if you want to make more of these. Black pipe cleaners, black wool, and some cabochon eyes. That's all you need, and you're in business, and have matching spiders if you wish. That's all for the October flock box. Of course, if you're watching this any other time, then have a look on our website. You can get all the ingredients to make your cat, your spider, from our website at the makers. And thank you very much for watching. See you again soon. Bye bye.